see. There's so much more than I can see. There's so much that I can become. That's why I'm reaching for the sun. I see my possibility. Just something under me. Nothing but green, that's the head of me. I'm looking for the counter track. To the head, I won't look back. I see my possibility. I'm breathing. Nothing between us. But I'm looking for the counter track. To the head, I won't look back. Who won't find me? Looking back. Cause I'm headed real not got nothing but green like the head of me. I'm looking for the contract. To the hell I won't look back. Nothing but the change. And I'm aiming for success. Nothing but green like the head of me. I'm looking for the contract. To the hell I won't look back. Oh no, no, no.
Excuse me. Alhamdulillah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. What I got going on here? I hear you on that side. You on the Blog Talk side?
I am.
Okay. I got to turn off some of these speakers in here. You hear me fine, right?
Yep.
Talk to me.
Oh, okay. I thought you was working out some technical things. No,
Yeah,
I can hear
I
you perfectly
am.
fine.
I am.
And I'm here and present, blessed to be in the building. So yeah, no, I'm good.
And you are beautiful. I don't know what's this thing. What's going on? You just keep that beauty. Just keep it working. Huh?
Staying focused and not letting the small things pass me by, and just remember that Allah is in control of all the things.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. So I'm good. I'm good. I'm very good.
Alhamdulillah. Well, I am always happy to share this space and time with you, sweetheart. And I know that there's so many just awaiting the jewels that you're going to be dropping. So let me back on out the way and let you do what you do. All right?
Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله. Assalamu alaikum to all of our listeners here in the virtual space and on Blog Talk Radio. My name is Camila Shuaib. I am the CEO and owner of Love is Always the Subject, a wellness brand that is here to change the mindsets and get us to a place of remembering the beautiful potential and all of the things that God has placed upon us so that we may engage and establish in this earth. I have a podcast, right? And so every time when I open up, I have a different intro because it strongly, depends on how am I feeling today. It's kind of like how people will go on Facebook and they give their status of what, how they're feeling today. So when so I know as many times as I've been here, I've never done like this full intro, so to speak, for myself. But I felt the need to do that because it's, we're getting to this space, this era of like, you got to know who you are right now. Like, you got to know what your assignment and task is. You got to know and understand what you're called to do, or you'll be easily distracted. You'll be easily pulled off the path. And what happens is you will feel a sense of stress because you're out of what we say alignment. You're out of alignment. I have this recording of Imam Qasim Rahimahullah where he talks specifically about that thing. Like the soul is to constantly remind us, don't go that way, go this way. Because if you deviate from the path, there are things that will drag you until you get back to where you're supposed to be. I got to find that recording because I do have it close because I made sure that I saved it. And this in this time of so much transition, and in this winter season, where they call seasonal depression, so to speak, right? That we can put ourselves in an energy of hopelessness because there's so much information happening. We're in the middle of this pandemic energy of the pandemic and other people's panic. We're in the midst of this economic shift and change with crypto and people wondering what their financial future is going to look like. We're in the midst of, where some people are just in a state of confusion about, well, what does my life look like? It is no longer looking like it did before, right? So we're grieving the past while trying to build a future. And I had in mind what I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to get there. But when I think about the work that I do with the women that I work with and the clients that I have, everyone is pushing this ideal of how to build the wealth, right? And I used to feel away because, like, I'm not that, I don't identify myself as this business strategist, right? I have business ideas and strategies that work based on the knowledge base that I have. But when you look at certain like podcasts that we have spotlighted here on this platform and on wealth creation and preservation, where we have the Social Proof podcast, and we have Ash Cash, and we have all of these different podcasts that speak very specific to do this to build the wealth, get the tax, this to do this, get the LLC. How do you do that? How do you use social media for this? Like, those are all strategies. And here's the thing about business strategies: if you pick one, it will work. It doesn't matter who you choose, just pick one, right? And it will work. What is required is for us to have the mindset and the drive to execute what is being the strategy that's being asked. That's like if I was to, get Beachbody in 90 days, right? Videos. And I'm playing the videos, and every day I play the videos, right? And I'm like, yeah, this don't work, right? It's because I'm not doing the program. So it could be Taibo, it could be Beachbody 90 days, it could be, Super Step, all of whatever the thing is. Everybody's program works. This is why they're so passionate about how they're sharing it, how they're marketing it, how they are sharing the testimonials of individuals who have worked their system. But it required the individuals to also believe and execute that program. So in this midst of us learning about and wealth, I said to myself, I'm not the coach that will say, hey, this is what you do to make 6 figures this year. I was clear about that for myself. I'm not that coach, right? And I come to realize that I had to be okay with that because that's not a popular thing in the marketplace. Everybody's trying to figure out, how do they get the wealth? What's the code to make the money? What's the code to get the most out of our 501c3? What's the code to investing in stocks? I'm not that coach, right? But what I am, and this is what's so beautiful about my relationship with my Lord, like, it's like what I give you is enough. Doesn't have to look like anybody else's. What I have given you is more than enough, and it will feed you. I'm the one to show you how to keep it, right? And what I mean by that, by keeping it, like you could get, we've seen the stories on TLC where, lottery nightmares, right? They win the $56 million lottery, and a year or two later, they are suicidal. They are trying to change their identity and run away. They are unfulfilled in their life because their existence was tied to this thing, this idea of wealth, right? So I want to speak about this legacy mindset around the resources that we have. When I was putting together idea in this conversation, I thought about a story, and I went online really trying hard to look for this story about a little boy that went to an ice cream store, and he kept telling me like he wanted another scoop. He had a scoop, and he saw someone else that had a scoop, and it was like, I want another scoop, right? Then he saw someone else that had two scoops, and he was like, well, I want another scoop, right? Saw someone else with three scoops, and he said, I want another scoop. So he got four scoops of ice cream, and he was comparing what everyone else had to what he had, and as soon as he walked out the door, he dropped it, right? And he dropped it because he couldn't even balance what he already had, but still he was asking for more, right? And so let's look at this ideal of wealth, this ideal of wealth. Um, just in connecting that to a real life connection. There was a interview with Bob Marley, and the interviewer said, "Are you rich?" And he said, "What do you mean rich?" He said, "Do you have a lot of money?" And he said, "Having a lot of money, that makes you rich?" And he said, "Well, do you have a lot of money well, are you wealthy?" And he said, "Well, what is it? Well, the things. Do you have a house? Do you have this?" And he was like, he said, that doesn't make me well. I'm the wealthiest man in the world. I have all of this love and all of these things around. I have my people around me, my country, these things, right?" So we're asking for more, but there's always, everybody talks about this why. So what is your why? Like, why, what is it about the wealth that you want to achieve and make this happen, right? Your relationship with money, right? And in really understanding that, how is that going to, how are you relating to the resources that are already around you that really define and make up who you are? I started this thing, and I think I mentioned it once before. I started this thing where I go to lunch once a month with my sister. This was never a thing that I had considered. I was just like, it's my sister. We tag each other on the phone, we this or that, or even going to the gym with my brother, right? Tagging in with them. And this experience made me so much more aware. The experience of losing a sister and working through my own grieving process of understanding, what I felt a relationship should look like or how I should move. It motivated, and this is a testament to her, and may Allah bless and expand the garden for her, that experience was not a lesson for her, but for me. This is Camila's reflection, right? That you to understand, sometimes people use wealth as a means to escape the wealth they already have access to, right? Because money will make me freed up to be able to do what? To travel, to have the house, to do the this, to do the that, right? Whatever the things are that are on our list. And am I saying don't get it? I say get it. Absolutely. Like let's go for it. Don't forget your share. That I'm not saying don't do that. That I am an advocate. Your girl is in the run for it right now as we speak. But I want to also understand that if at any point in time something shifts in the economy, that I have all that I will ever need, right? There are things that I want to experience and engage the world in experience. There are things that financially I want to be able to have access to so that I can afford to better engage with these resources of family and community, and friendships that finances would allow me the ability to nurture those multiple gardens that are a part of my community, right? And so when I look at that, this why behind the wealth, is it ego driven? Is it driven by this idea of saying, yeah, I can do that and I'm going to show the world that it's possible? Okay, they still may not get it. What is it that you need from this experience? Because that is what will truly drive you to do what it is, right? So this idea of showing this value and this love for the wealth of resources via our family, via our children, via our community, via the leadership that awakens us and awakens our minds to really look at the world in a more expansive way, help us to understand this scripture, to understand ourselves, right? That is a body of wealth that will never diminish. How much we'll invest in this idea of cryptocurrency, absolutely. But this relationship with the Quran, this relationship with the life example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will never diminish. Never diminish. It will be something that will fortify us, not just in this physical body, but when we transition out of this body, right? That this legacy mindset of people seeing how we interact, when they look at how I loved and interact with my son, or is my son pleased and happy with our relationship? Like that is a legacy mindset that when I leave, all I can think about is how much I invested in that relationship, how much I invested in the relationships of my siblings, how much I invested in my relationship with my parents, how much I invested and honored the pioneers within my community, how much I invested my knowledge base in a forum like this. Like I am sharing legacy right now, because hopefully these words that Allah has inspired in me, because this is not mine, right? That the words that Allah has inspired in me inspires in you to take a closer look at what is it that really makes me wealthy, because then you're moving out of the way the thing that's blocking your abundance, because maybe that abundance is not coming through the way you want it to come through, because you are not managing your one scoop of ice cream. You see what I'm saying? That one scoop of ice cream, you're looking at, oh, okay, well, that's that. Let me I want another scoop. And you say, oh, they got two. Okay, well, let me get it. And then you lose it all because you're not managing what it is that you do have, but you're asking for more, right? So let's think hard about how we invest ourselves in the resources that we have, because I love the beautiful analogies of this, of the river that runs beneath, when Allah mentions the river in the paradise, right? That I like to think of the good wholehearted teachers and people and loved ones are a resource for me. And Allah sends us, when we arrive here, everything that we need, we have internally and externally. Everything that we need, we have it, right? And it is in our relationships that can diminish how much we have. We can start to lose those things because we're ungrateful. We don't honor the gifts of the individuals that Allah has placed in our lives to be a resource for us, a resource of love, a resource of knowledge, a resource of prayers, a resource of being a reminder, a resource of being that mirror that shows us those things about ourselves to be held accountable for, right? That those are resources for us so that we can keep our iman in check, so that we can keep ourselves in check, to understand that, yeah, this might look good over here, but Allah is giving you all the signs. We're not reading the way that we should, because we have all of these things around us. So what is your why for wealth? Why do you want it? Are you trying to escape something? Or are you trying to build a community that will allow others of like minds to flourish and grow and get the means? Or are you just seeking wealth to survive? Seeking wealth just to survive is not enough. That is a lack mindset. That is a lack mindset. So it's like we get it to give it away. We get it to expand. We get it as seeds to plant multiple seeds in multiple areas so that that expands, because this concrete existence is not our forever existence, right? So in that, let's list out who those beautiful resources that Allah has given us. Like, I have a rich community of love and access and laughter and knowledge and spiritual reminders that I keep close to me. And when they need me, I'm available. And when I need them, they are available. So, regardless of what my financial situation may or may not look like, I'm going to honor these vessels that Allah has given me in my life in hopes that they will reciprocate that too, because that we are an exchange. Like this last one, because I know my time is getting tick tick tick. This last point, that when it speaks about the body, one part of the body aches, that the whole body hurts. And I think we were talking about this is the community, right? That we can't be so quick. I always use this analogy that our children, our partners, our spouse, our nieces, our family first, and then community is the flesh that testifies against us, because they're a part of us. They're a part of our body, right? So when we speak about on the judgment that the body parts will testify, will testify against us or for us in the same way that the Quran is there. Like, what are we really talking about? Because we can experience judgment in this time right here, right now. How are we taking care of the heart of our community, the arms of our community, the feet of our community? And if you really work with what those analogies are, you know who those people are. The leadership, those that have the mind and the knowledge and the wisdom. How are we nurturing those parts of us? Because that will be the testifying. And that is what can keep you on the straight path or lead you astray. So why do you need the wealth? Are we running towards expanding a community? Are we running away from it for the survival and still hanging on to this white supremacist colonized ideal of what wealth is? And then we miss the whole point of what this experience is really supposed to be for us. So I'm going to stop there and invite the Imam back into the room, inshallah.
Okay. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Always such a blessing. And perspective is all about, well, like you already said it, I don't need to repeat it. Your why, why.
Yeah.
And when you discover that, that's what will inspire your work, because those same letters are the consonants for wahi. Wahi means inspiration. So WHY, wow, that's wahi, is inspiration. So when you find that, then you're going to be inspired. You're going to be inspired, inshallah, to do that. Let me give an opportunity. Blog Talk for sure. Anybody who's on YouTube, Facebook, etc., you can type in a comment or a question. If you like, that's fine. Anybody who's on Blog Talk, you want to chime in with a comment or a question, you can just push one on your phone and you will be welcomed in before I take off. Going once. All right, alhamdulillah. See you on the other side, sweetheart.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So let me go ahead and share what we're doing tonight is part 2 of the Bitcoin narrative from a religious perspective. We started that last week, and we're going to continue that tonight. Okay. Now, I decided to start with this verse or these verses from the Quran, just using the expression of them. The 16th chapter, I believe that's Surah Al-Nahl, I believe it's the B. That is 1680 and 81. Reading it, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. It is Allah who made your habitations homes of rest and quiet for you, and made for you out of the skins of animals tents for dwellings, which you find so light and handy when you travel and when you stop in your travels, and out of their wool and their soft fiber, between wool and their hair rich stuff and articles of convenience to serve you for a time. It is Allah who made out of the things He created some things to give you shade. Of the hills, He made some for your shelter. He made you garments to protect you from heat and coats of mail to protect you from your mutual violence. Thus does He complete His favors on you, that you may bow to His will in Islam. Now, you look at the things as we point out, we've numbered them here. He talked about He made your homes habitations, and He made out of skins of animals tents for dwelling, rich stuff and articles of convenience. He created some things for your shade and to give you shelter, and He made you garments to protect you from heat and coats of mail to protect you from your mutual violence. Now, all six of these things are things that we can see man physically doing, right? Is a person who takes the leather skin, or rather makes leather from the skins of animals, a tanner, right? And then you have literally, if you build homes, and you got carpentry and different kinds of engineering, construction, and you also have these utilities that what do you call them? Appliances that are of convenience for us, and then also garments or clothing, and then also well, I gotta say flak jackets, or what do you call those, bulletproof vests, right? But it's coats of mail to protect you from your mutual violence. That's what it was before, and nowadays it's, as I just mentioned. So the idea is that Allah is saying that He did, Ja'ala, He did it, right? But each one of these benefits actually represent a transformation of circumstances that came about through the growth of human intelligence in response to the forces or the demands of nature and human circumstances. That is, our quote environment and the demands of life and survival put pressure on our nature, and that pressure on our nature causes us to come up with solutions. And those solutions are all of these various utilities, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says He did it. Now we know Allah is not a blacksmith, Allah is not a tanner, Allah is not a carpenter, etc. But He's letting us know that it is the response through the nature that He gave us to respond to the challenges of our environment. That is by His will and by His design. And so, as the Quran says, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, Wallahu khalaqakum wa ma ta'malun. And Allah created you and what you make. So even those things that man would want to claim that he's the inventor of, he's the creator of, etc. No. Allah said, I created you and what you make. None of what you make would be possible without what I made. I made the creation, I made you, I made your intellect, etc. And all of these features of the nature of what I have created is what makes what you enjoy possible. So again, and I believe how does the verse end? He says, thus does He complete His favor on you, that you may bow to His will in Islam. That is, be grateful. to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the nature of life as He has created it. Also, now to talk about money, right? Borrowing a line from that famous 20th century philosopher James Brown, money won't change you, but money will change. Money won't change you, but money will change. The inevitability of the evolutionary transformation of money is in the very nature of the growth of society. I want us to understand. Don't get it in your mind. Get real clear about it. Money was inevitable. Money was inside of the genetic flow of life, such that ultimately there was going to come a time where money was going to be necessary. There's going to be a demand brought about by a problem. There's going to be a problem. In order to solve the problem, that problem put pressure on the potential in the human being to solve that problem. And it was a problem that, quote unquote, what we call money could solve. So some human being comes up with the understanding of this is the answer and this is the solution to the problem. So therefore, I'm saying to you, just like walking and talking is, quote, inevitable in the nature of the human being. The human being, we don't have to be taught how to walk. We don't have to be taught how to talk. All we have to do is just let the human being grow naturally, and all those things are going to happen naturally. Okay, so it is with money. So it is with money. Money is a natural byproduct of human existence, right? The society's population have grown to be larger and larger, and populations are being connected at greater and greater distances with greater and more elaborated, more complex wants and needs. This is the growth of the world. The same expansion has also increased the buyer and seller's vulnerability to crime, such as fraud, theft, counterfeiting, third-party risk, that is, people violating the trust, not keeping the contracts, etc. And under the present system, to speak of the central banking system and the fractional reserve banking globally, that coupled with government's deficit spending, meaning they just print the money up and put it out there, and that is where the inflation comes in. And inflation means the diminution of the value, is the dilution of the value of the dollars that are already out there. The more fiat is printed, then the more diluted the fiat, i.e., dollars, quote unquote, for us Federal Reserve notes, the more they're diluted. So the value that they had before you printed that money is now diluting the value, the purchasing power of the dollars that were already out there. I'm just going to mention and keep going. Look up the Cantillon effect. The Cantillon, Contillon, I believe. I don't think it's Cantillon, but I believe it's Cantillon. Look that up. There's a very important learning there. The point is that whoever's closest to the money, whoever's closest to the printer, they get the most value out of the dollar, and the people further away from the printer, they suffer the loss of value in the extreme. So by the time those who are far away from the printing press, that is the Department of the Treasury and the like, these individuals need a better. These individuals, their money is really getting diluted. Any case, so the point is that under the present system, which I've just described, coupled with the government deficit spending, there is a real negative impact on the purchasing power and the store of value of fiat currency, the dollar. What I'm pointing to is this is and was the contemporary problem that called and calls for. I believe the call has been answered with Bitcoin. But this is one of those problems, just like all the other forces of nature and our growth and development, and the problems that arise along with that growth and development, and the special needs that are required as society gets more complex, gets larger, more dispersed, more diverse. There are a whole new set of problems, and people have to solve those problems. Now, when we talk about the financial situation, 2008 was when the feces hit the fan in a very real, powerful, unprecedented way. And it is right at that time that the Bitcoin white paper was released. It is and was an invention. Just like the other things God says, I did from 1680 and 81. Allah did that too. Allah did that too, right? People say Satoshi Nakamoto, that's fine. Allah uses as a resource individuals who have the proclivity for and the inclination for and the predisposition for that particular solution. Look, W.D. Farad, he came with a very special solution to a very special problem. And alhamdulillah, it is and was a blessing. So in the same way, cryptocurrency today is a new invention, a solution to a contemporary problem in the world of finance, in the world of money, right? I have this brief list here that says you're seeing the movement of money in the history of man, right? We first had barter, then we had commodity money, then we had precious metals, then we had paper money, then we had bank checks, traveler's checks, money orders, credit and debit cards, now mobile payment systems, and cryptocurrency now. Cryptocurrency. These are all different types of or ways by which transactions were done. We are at the outer edge, the most modern technological way of exchange is cryptocurrency. And Bitcoin is the granddaddy, if you will, the granddaddy of them all. It's very important. And so it's important to see it and recognize it as this is Allah doing it as well. And let me take a second here, and I want you to ask yourself. You say, well, let's just imagine someone saying, no, God didn't do that. Okay. So why would you say God didn't do that? Why? There are things that have been invented, things that have been invented by man. And as we just pointed out, they are Allah's will working through the potential of man to solve problems for the human being. That's a part of Allah's mercy to the human being, the blessing that he put, like Camila was speaking of, the blessing that he put among you to help meet your needs. Allah, this is a part of his mercy. Ar-Rahman, this is a part of his grace, right? So I want to encourage you to really, if you haven't been given attention, I got to bring it back again. You need to, because this is just a lull right now. Bitcoin is something like 42,000. Remember, Satoshi breaks down to 100 million parts, right? 100 million parts. So it's like it just breaks down to that. So you don't have to look for $43,000 in order to do it. Just get a little bit. And let me tell you something of what the value of a little bit is, right? Starting at one Bitcoin, the Michael Saylor of MicroStrategies, who's really the pioneer from the corporate perspective, taking their revenues, their cash assets, and putting them into Bitcoin. Excuse me. One of the ways he describes it, he said, "Look, it's just like imagine yourself at the beginning of the 20th century, and you're in Manhattan. You're in Manhattan, and you have the opportunity to buy a building in Manhattan, right? And so you buy it and you hold on to it because you expect that property to be there, quote unquote, for the duration. And so it's always going to have value, it's always going to have occupancy, etc. So it's an asset that goes from one generation to the next to the next. So he's saying Bitcoin is like cyber Manhattan, and owning a Bitcoin is like owning a city block in cyber Manhattan. It's like you buy it and you hold it, and that's if you're just dealing with the one Bitcoin. We're about to break it down a little bit more, but let me say this: it's like I believe you should have it as a goal. All this is a recommendation. All the rest of the story. I'm not a financial advisor. Da, 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 da. So it's like, but I believe it is a very, very worthy goal because I mean, even right now, $43,000. There are people who spend more for cars that depreciate with every mile. I mean, when you drive it off the showroom floor, it's already depreciating, right? So their cars $43,000. Maybe you're driving a $43,000 car right now. You think about that car note that you're paying for that. But if you are into a dollar cost averaging situation, meaning that put yourself in a situation where you are quote unquote buying on a regular basis, automatically withdrawn like your insurance policies and others, and you're buying Bitcoin. That just set it and forget it. That's something, excuse me, that's something that you need to have in mind. So I'm saying it's a worthy goal, and we'll go ahead and talk about what the future is holding for this. But in terms of one Bitcoin, here's the thing to understand about the nature of this economy and the nature of wealth for that matter, like Camila was just talking about, in terms of people have these status symbols and the like. Well, Bitcoin in so many places is actually already a status symbol. It's not at the order and magnitude of a Maybach or something like that right now, but it's fast getting there in that sense, and it's what you call a Veblen good. And you see here, it's named after Thorsten Veblen, 1857 to 1929. Said as the price rises, demand rises. It's something peculiar. Like Camila, she was saying, she said, "What is your why? What is your why?" Some people just want certain things, this whatever, Coach bags, Gucci bags, whatever, Versace shirts, clothes, what have you, Mercedes. Why? Because they want to be able to, flex. That language. So, and this is what happens once you get into that. I'm sorry, I had to use it because it's quick. The Kim Kardashian type, then that scenario, right? And they're buying $4,000 backpacks for their children, etc., to go to school with. It's like, why are you doing that, right? Status symbol, right? It's a Veblen good, right? And so you have people who create products for this layer of significant people of significant wealth, right? High net worth individuals. So that's who they market to, right? Selling them, $10,000 birthday cakes and all the rest of that, right? Hey, that's what a Veblen good is. It's something that the more it costs, then the more it's in demand for people who are at that level in that strata. So the point is, Bitcoin, because it is so rare and limited, that is 21 million, that 21 million units of that, that's it. When you own one of them, you own one of 21 million. It's not going to be 22 million. It's only It's only that. So when you get one of them, then hey, that's very powerful and important. And as the demand for it increases, or rather, as the price increases, the demand is going to increase, and that's why you get it and don't let it go, because you know, the language, the sky's the limit. Is okay. So some products become more popular as the price rises. There's just because it's more expensive. That's why people of high net worth want it, or people who want to quote unquote flex like that. Whatever they do it with cars, they do it with clothes, they do it with shoes, they do it with jewelry, they do it with real estate, what have you. They do it with vacations. That's the nature of it. Well, Bitcoin is going to be, it is actually now for some, but it's going to particularly be so as time goes on, because those late arrivals from the ultra high net worth people, they're going to come in, Bogart, trying to, I got to get me some. I got to get me some now. I know it's limited. So that means the price is going to be just crazy when those individuals really start coming in. Uh, so so one Bitcoin, right? So that's one reason. So it's like owning one city block in cyber Manhattan, according to Michael Saylor. And also one Bitcoin, it will put you among the top three in every 1,000 richest people in the world. One. This thing that is talking, that is right now, you know, $42,000. That thing right there will put you among the top three of 1,000 richest in the world. So I mean, just think about it. So, since we're talking the price right now, okay, 43,000. You have 43,000, and that can put you in the top three of each 1,000 of the richest in the world. That's what one Bitcoin will do for whoever has it, right? So this makes you an ultra high net worth individual, and that right now, an ultra high net worth individual is a person who has $30 million in assets. 30 million dollars in assets. So listen, so it's like, what do you say? You say $42,000 is not 30 million in assets. We're talking about future value. We're talking about future value. The extent of its growth, its demand, the what it serves, and how the price is going to move along because of all the factors that we mentioned. We talk about inflation, we talk about becoming a Veblen good, we're talking about adoption, all those kinds of things, and all the businesses around it that are developed. So the point is, when you have it, so it's like when you get one, you actually have an asset in its maturities. That's like bonds. When they talk about bonds, I'm just doing it by comparison, because bonds ain't really giving anything right now. But you understand how it works. If you bought a savings bond back in the day, whatever you spent for it, $2.50 or whatever, that's way back, right? But a $50 savings bond, well, it's going to mature. When it matures, it's going to take years for it to mature. But when it matures, then that $2.50 is now $50. Okay, well, that that 42,000, speaking today, that 42,000 is going to be like 30 plus million at one order of maturity, right? It's really, the numbers are mind-boggling as to, and it's math, brother and sister. It's math. There's a limit to it, high demand for it, and scarcity, and all of those things. It's just going to keep pushing it higher and higher and higher. So you don't even need to look at. So I would say, you look at, just like Michael Saylor said, it's like, okay, you're buying a city block in cyber Manhattan. How much does it cost? $42,000. Do you want an asset that has a future which is 10 times in the immediate, in the near future, it's likely going to be 10 times, and then it's going to be 100 times, because he talked about when it flips gold. Flipping gold means that the market capitalization in Bitcoin is going to transcend gold, right? Why? Because what gold does, Bitcoin actually does better. Okay, a store of value. That's the reality. This is the massive shift and change of what happened with the arrival of Bitcoin. We have now a new form of money, that an asset, a new asset that has the ability to store value better than the 5,000 year career of gold. That's what it is. So it's like, and I know maybe you say, how can that be? Okay, maybe. The point is that let's dial it back. It's like, how do you think people, when they first started using paper money as opposed to gold, it's like, this paper? What's that? No, I want the gold. Don't give me the paper. Okay, now we've moved away from the gold, and now we're dealing with paper. And so now you're talking about moving away from the paper, moving to cyberspace, digital currency, and the like. That's evolution, my brothers and sisters. That's where it's going. It's a new invention. And it's an invention. And don't make the mistake when you hear that word invention, it's like it has this frailty and this fragility and this potential to break down. This is different. This thing is different. It don't break down the way that the planned obsolescence of automobiles and light bulbs and other things like that. It's a whole different kind of animal. It's by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm serious. Okay, let's move on. So high net worth individuals, which currently means that you are a shareholder in 11.3% of all global wealth. One Bitcoin is going to put you in that position. Now, we're very familiar with the idea of one percenters owning 0.28 Bitcoin. So let's round it off to 1/4 of a Bitcoin. That's now $10,000 based on pricing right now. $10,000. That would put you in the 1%. The 1% in the Bitcoin world, regardless of the price of Bitcoin. Regardless of the price. If you own 0.28 of a Bitcoin, that puts you among the 1%ers of Bitcoin hold now. So it's like there are like 100 million or so people who are actually owning and holding Bitcoin. That's a small number. When you talk about Facebook and Google and YouTube and how many subscribers they have, I'm pretty sure Facebook is 1 billion, Google 1 billion, and the like. And Bitcoin, in terms of adoption and utilization and ownership, is coming there. So when you move from 100 million up to 1 billion, I don't know what's that what that number is. I'm going to call it 10 times that. So when it goes 10 times that, and it's approaching that number, that is that billion, it's going to get to that number. And we have to say, inshallah, it's going to get to that number. And in order to get to that number, the valuation is going to be 10 times what it is right now. Right? And so that means as the adoption happens, as more and more people get on the train, if you will, then that's pushing the price, right? It's increasing the demand. The supply is not being expanded, but the demand is expanded. So the scarcity is going to push the quote unquote price up, if and when you price it in dollars. And you're sitting there with one quarter of a Bitcoin. You didn't do anything else. You just got one quarter of a Bitcoin. Well, you're a 1%er. You're a 1%er. What if you could be a 1%er right now? Would you want to be a 1%er right now? Yeah, no, I don't want to be no 1%. Point is that you can, just with 1/4 of a Bitcoin, stop, drop, and roll. Just do that and say, I'm not doing nothing else. I'm just gonna get that. I'm done. Let me go do something else that's more in my wheelhouse. Fine. Then you're gonna be good if you do that. Now, the price is going to reach. Now, this is some prediction. Actually, we wrote these. We wrote these notes. This is actually a note from a 2019 presentation when we were talking about Bitcoin, right? So these notes are from then. It said the price will reach 100,000 per Bitcoin no earlier than 2021 and not later than 2028, right? So we didn't get to the 100,000, but it said that no earlier than 2021. And you see the bottom of the note, in 2019, the prediction was there will be a 50,000 Bitcoin in 2021, and it actually went to 68,000. It went to 68,000. So there's a prediction 2 years before that said it was going to be 50, which sounded to people in 2019, oh, come on, what is it? Some people, right? But others who believed, they said, well, there it is. Not only did it get to 50, it got beyond 50 in 2021. Now, it didn't hit the 100K, but the prediction was that it would not do so no earlier than 2021, but it would be no later than 2028. And I want to remind you, this is all mathematics. It's mathematics. There's a trajectory for this. Everything is happening based on the numbers. Bitcoins are mined every 10 minutes like clockwork. Okay, that's the nature. Alhamdulillah, it's Allah is the one who does what He wills. Excuse me. The price will reach 1 million. 1 million. Now, if somebody said, "Okay, you spend 42,000 right now for something that's going to be worth 1 million, possibly as early as 2028," is that worth doing? Right? And again, if you're not going for the whole, then get you some, even at 0.28, right? So in any case, per Bitcoin, no earlier than 2028 and no later than 2037, 1 million, right? And after 2037, the price will never drop below 1 million. So what I'm saying is that getting some part of it is an asset for you. I'm not going to go to that right now. Take us a little bit further, but we'll talk about Allah's intention, Allah's design, and all of that. We're going to get to that, but I want to bring my co-host back, and I'm going to stop this, and we're going to close out with your comment and with her input. All right. And all right, let's go. Okay, so saying the echo is back. I don't. There's nothing I can do about it right now. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Nothing like get excited, get clear about what is your intention for the wealth. Understanding our intention for the wealth and the things that we want to pursue on any level of what we want to manifest, it calls it to us faster when our intention is set in the right place, because sometimes those things aren't coming through as a protection for us. Like that is literally protecting us because we have not solidified it being based on the right intention for what it is that we want. So Allah loves us that much to protect us from this thing that could harm us more than do good.
Yeah. Inshallah, we're going to get to what I'm not covering. It'll take too much for me to go into it right now. But the idea, this Hadith Qudsi, so you can on your own, and those who see it, deal with Hadith Qudsi number 15. And I'll just read it without my inserts. It says, on the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he said, Allah the Almighty said, I am as my servant thinks I am. I am with him when he makes mention of me. If he makes mention of me to himself, I make mention of him to myself. And if he makes mention of me in an assembly, I make mention of him in an assembly better than it. And if he draws near to me an arm's length, I draw near to him a fathom's length. And if he comes to me walking, I go to him at speed. And so, without elaborating on all those other details, the key is for us to be a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our perception and our expectation of that. My conversation about Bitcoin is because God, I believe God will do that. That's what I'm saying. I believe God will do something like that. In one
Right.
stroke, with one invention, solve the global financial problem for the rest of time. I
Right.
believe God will do that. And I believe that's what's been done. And
Yeah.
so this hadith also, or the hadith at 25, we're not speaking to right now, but it connects us with the science also by delineating how to get into the state or relationship with Allah's will and the creation. So it is about you got to be in the right relationship with Allah's will. You got to be in the right relationship with Allah's will. If you're not in the right relationship with Allah's will, in fact, property is a relationship, right? That's my house, that's my car, that's my business. You understand? So that's a relationship, right? But as you were asking, are you relating to your property in the way that Allah would have you relate to your property, right? Because if you have the wrong relationship with your property, then that very thing that should be a blessing is going to be a punishment, a source of hell for you. And God says as much in the Quran.
Alhamdulillah. That's clear to me.
All right.
Yeah.
We go to period.com. Huh?
Yeah. I just recently got my wallet. I had been waiting. So I finally have my crypto wallet. So
Allahu Akbar.
I'm in the
Congratulations.
game, inshallah.
You gotta be in the game. You hit me up for whatever you need to know. I got you. All right. Well, we're gonna call it a night, y'all. So no comments from Blog Talk and no comments from Facebook and YouTube. Allah's peace be on you all. Everybody have a wonderful day. Love you, sweetheart.
Love you too, Baba. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.